History is truly at a turning point. We do not yet know the full extent and the systemic and structural changes which will happen. However, we do know that global energy systems, food systems and supply chains will be deeply affected. In times of crisis, the role of governments is more important and more relevant than ever. What is also needed is a summit like this one to go beyond crisis management and to look into constructive ways we can build our common future.
A new world order can emerge, a new era.
The golden age of America begins right now.
You like apples? Well, how do you like them apples? At any rate, it's going to be a fairly long video because I got a lot of things to cover, because I don't know how many more times any of us are going to be able to upload freely to the internet anymore, because we're at that point. We're literally at that point where the president has just completely officially sold us out to cover all the laws and all those other things. And, well, it's going to get ugly, people. Much more so. Sorry to say it, but here it is. maybe you aren't old enough to remember the 2001 economic recession that we had in the United States. And the way they fixed that was by blowing up the World Trade Centers and just causing absolute chaos. But then in 2008, they did us one better. And they introduced the entire world to a term called too big to fail, where they literally took $700 billion out of the treasury, or your money, and gave it to all the big banks, making them much, much more wealthy. And they said the bailout, the total commitment of the government is $16.8 trillion with $4.6 trillion already paid out, which is insane. But that's not even, that's not even the worst part, because right now they're absolutely, completely, and utterly, pardon the term, raping the United States for every single solitary cent that it's worth. I mean, seriously. Remember Doge? Oh, yeah. Oh, look at the tariff revenue. Really? Because I just tried to order something, and on top of the $1,500 they wanted, they also wanted an additional 20% that I had to pay for this item that's always been $1,500 because of the tariffs. So this is all an illusion, but this isn't. It is an illusion because the real number is more like $160 trillion. It's completely and utterly unrepayable, but that's what they're doing. Do you see what I'm saying? That shouldn't be there, but whatever. It is what it is. I'm still wearing the same shirt that I was wearing 2 days ago, but that's kind of how I roll. But you need to understand something right now. The government that's in place are all demons. These people are all sold their souls to the devil, and it's actually even worse than that, because I've stayed away from this topic my entire career. Okay, almost 2 decades making videos like this to make sure that anyone that meets me thinks I'm a crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, or making sure that all of my family and friends of my past no longer talk to me because I'm one of them. Do you see what I'm saying? Except what I'm showing you is actually real information you don't find on the news. Do you see what I'm saying? I show you the patents. I show you the words coming out of their mouths. And I show you the results. You see what I'm saying? It's not that hard to understand. Quid pro quo. Do you remember when I said that? Trump needs more troops on the ground. Well, what just recently happened? What just recently happened, and what is the quid pro quo? Back when Donald Trump first started talking about deploying troops, I said what they're going to do is they're going to deploy troops, and then they're going to have somebody pull the trigger, which will then allow Trump to have an excuse to put more troops all over the ground. The reason they're putting troops all over the ground isn't to stop crime, it's to stop you and me when they tell you either get the digital credit system and the digital ID, or you can't participate in America anymore, whatsoever at all. And this isn't just America, this is worldwide. It's already begun in China, let me remind you. But before I remind you, the entire thing about that shooting doesn't stand up to any type of scrutiny whatsoever at all, just like every other false flag event that they do, because they don't care anymore. But on to China.
In China, tens of thousands of young people are suddenly homeless, not because of money, but because the system erased them.
Imagine a society where everything you do, everything you say, and everything you buy is controlled and evaluated by the authorities. This is what the Chinese Communist Party calls social credit.
By using the mechanism of social credit, we'll be able to establish a blacklist of people and create a system of punishment that will be based on a scientific theory. These punishments will serve as a whip to rebuild moral values. Our society needs it.
The country's social credit system decides who's trustworthy. But if you're blacklisted, it's game over. Your WeChat Pay stops working, you can't receive your salary, can't buy food, can't even book a train ticket. It's like being alive, but digitally. Many are now sleeping in the streets, cut off from everything. Jobs, housing, even communication. All because one app, one algorithm decided they don't belong.
It's not science fiction. In China, it's a reality.
Then there's the public shaming. Photo galleries of blacklisted citizens. There's even an app that shows who around you is in debt.
They're not criminals. They didn't steal, cheat, or harm anyone. They just fell too low on a score, and vanish from the digital world. Critics say it's a glimpse into the future, where technology doesn't just track your life, it controls it. So ask yourself, if your entire life depended on your digital reputation, how long before you get deleted?
Well, I already know that answer, and you should too. Because when they gave me my channels back in April, I told you the only reason they put us back up was for data farming. And every one of you that have commented, interacted with my channel and channels like mine are on the list. And the digital ID is absolutely coming to the United States because it's already here. They have studied so hard and so long on how to do this because the digital ID ties directly to the social credit system. And then once they have the social credit system, don't forget, this is the plan. And it always has been the plan. And I've been warning you about the social credit system since 2007. This isn't new. It takes a while, but here it is.
Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison predicts AI surveillance will be part of our everyday lives in the future. During a recent Oracle Q&A, Ellison said AI will soon play a major role in monitoring society through a vast network of interconnected cameras, including security systems, police body cams, and vehicle dash cams.
Everyone would see it. Your body cams will be transmitting that. The police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on.
Ellison's vision is for AI to analyze data from this network of cameras in real time in an attempt to prevent crime while also tracking and influencing public behavior for a safer society. However, the idea raises serious privacy concerns. Critics argue it could lead to a surveillance state with constant monitoring infringing on personal privacy rights, while others say it could help solve crimes faster and provide transparency to citizens in cases of excessive force from law enforcement.
We're going to have supervision. In other words, every police officer is going to be supervised at all times.
Ellison's proposal highlights a growing trend among tech giants to harness AI for societal influence, which may significantly reshape our lives in the coming years.
We've been drawn into this digital spy network in the name of convenience, connectivity, safety, and especially entertainment. The 3D world of cyberspace creates virtual lives that are often more exciting than reality.
Why is this technology being developed? It's all for the culmination of this digital prison from which there will be no escape after all the switches are turned on.
The critical switch would be the introduction of those digital IDs and central bank financial control, a world of zero trust.
Zero trust is based on a simple principle. Never trust, always verify.
Zero trust is a protocol that is implemented by cybersecurity companies. And what it really means is we don't trust you, and you have to prove who you are all the time, 24/7. So think of it as going from a world of implicit allow to default deny. In tomorrow's world, once zero trust is implemented in, say, retail, everything will be behind plexiglass doors with a 3D camera, and it'll only be unlocked through your digital identity and facial recognition if you have the available carbon credits in your digital currency.
If you've reached the limit of your allowance, it could be access denied. This would apply to fuel, to travel, to meat and dairy products, to clothes and other consumer goods. Because everything in life could be valued by its carbon footprint. Even access to the internet could be denied.
So the new world of zero trust is really a world of locks. It's like an inverted prison. You are supposedly free to roam about, but everything you want to access is behind lock and key.
You're going to be completely locked out of the system. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can't go to the gas station. You can't go to the grocery store. You may not even be able to go on the internet. They're going to use the digital ID to force you to be able to engage with society. Now, if you're really going to stand your ground, if you're really not going to take the digital ID vaccine, we'll call it, like so many of you did during COVID, we're on our own. We're enemies of the state. We're going to have to deal with each other and each other only. period. Through trade, through cooperation, through networks, etc. Otherwise, you're taking the mark of the beast. You're going headlong into the beast system, straight up and down. No two ways about it. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not hyperbole. This is really, really occurring. As a matter of fact, it's been occurring. So generation by generation, step by step, inch by inch, they have been closing the gap. They now own BlackRock, Blackstone, and all the other companies. I'm doing this off the top of my head, so I can't memorize them all. I'm old. It happens. These guys own 88% of the S&P 500. So they own the stock market. They've literally gone over all of our coins over the years, replaced all the silver. Coins used to actually be worth what they were. They took them all out of circulation and they put back in coins that were a little bit silver, mostly whatever. They turned copper pennies into zinc. They turned nickel, which was actually a precious metal. They replaced all that and stole that all. Then they stole all the land. Then they stole all the houses. I mean, this is absolutely insanity, and everyone's just sitting and doing nothing about it. These dudes are building bunkers for a reason, and we found out that they're building bunkers, so what do about it? They do what they always do. They normalize it by making a Billionaires Building Bunkers television show on Netflix, because why wouldn't they? You know what I mean?
I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities, the bonds, across the board. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner.
The opportunity for tokenization is probably the most important component of how we are going to see the evolution of the financial plumbing of the world.
Now, what tokenization means is you'll own nothing and be happy. If you want to take a flight someplace, if you want to eat a steak, if you want to go to the supermarket, if you want a job, if you want to interact with society, it'll all be based 100% on your social credit score, which is tied directly to your digital ID. And these guys will make a decision if your carbon footprint allows you to move, to go outside, to have a steak, to get on a plane. Can't drive a car anymore because they're going to get rid of those, because we're not going to have vehicles. Are you ready for this? I've been warning you about this for years, but you know what? It's at the door. It's at the door right now. And you're not going to hear the knock because the door's just going to come flying down. You need to make a decision if you're going to go along with these people or not. Because with their system, without their system, you won't be able to buy or sell. You won't be able to buy or sell. Where have you heard that before? You know what I'm saying? It's astonishing, and they know they can get away with it now because COVID, the lockdowns were a test of what Americans will do. Well, I'll tell you what, when they told us to lock down, I did. I locked down my door, I locked down my gas and my supplies, and I went cross country, and I met all of you guys face to face. That's what I did with the lockdown. But you know what I didn't see? I didn't see anybody because nobody was out in the roads. Everyone was doing exactly as told. America, home of the free. And that's how they know they can get away with this, because they're going to completely destroy the economy. You're going to wake up and your bank account's going to be 100% zero. All of it gone. But that's okay. They'll have a plan. It'll be a new tokenization. Do you see to do what they have to do? They have to do what I'm telling you they're going to do. And I've been telling you for so long now, for over a decade, that this was coming. Well, now it's here. Now it is here. So if you were smart, get your money out of the bank right now, turn it into gold and silver, and have it shipped to your house so you actually have your physical wealth in hand. And if we can somehow get past these people on the other side, at least you'll have something to rebuild with. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm telling you to do it because I never did it. I gave mine all away. I gave it all away because I didn't still think I'd be here. I never thought I'd make it to 58 years old, but here I am. You see what I'm saying? And I'm still going to warn you I'm not going to say till the wheels fall off. I'm not going to say that because they have. And I'm still doing it. I'm still right here because the wheels fell off. It's that far. It takes that long for parts, etc. And it's insane. But whatever. You know what I'm saying. You're going to have to make a decision, because you're going to treat you just like they did to the people in China. They're already doing it to the people in India. Other countries are already doing it, and now they're circling us right now, and they're pushing it so hard, and people are so greedy, and their hearts are so cold. They're believing this guy from BlackRock somehow is going to help them become wealthy through this new tokenization. It's bad, and you've been warned.
Is BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard, these giant corporations which own 88% of the S&P 500, are going into real estate. By 2030, these giant corporations are on track to own 60% of the single-family homes in our country. So BlackRock wants to be everybody's landlord and everybody's neighbor, but I'm not going to let that happen.
It's still astonishing to me that people think that Trump and RFK, these people are here to stop things. They are part of it, 1,000%. 1,000% is impossible, but 100%, period. And here's the SEC manager literally parroting what Larry Fink said. Larry Fink, it's in the name, it's right there.
Are the major banks and the brokers out there today moving increasingly toward tokenization?
Oh, absolutely. And it's the way the world will be, here in the, maybe not even in 10 years, maybe even a lot less time, maybe a couple of years from now.
Not even 10 years, maybe a couple of years from now. These people are puppets. These people are evil. Complete, straight, total evil. And I'm going to get, by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how evil. Something I've never said in a video before, something I've stayed away. But the more I look into it, the more I'm starting to realize what I've always known is actually real. And now I figured out how they can live with the chemtrails. But we'll get to that. But this is what Trump is. There's two words. Hallelujah means glory to God in every language. Hallelujah. There's one other word that means one thing in every language, and that's MAGA. And it means high satanic priest or high magician. Period. Donald Trump is a magician. Whatever. Maybe that's why he's got such wacky hair. Maybe that's why people believe him, even though he just lies and lies. You don't become a billionaire twice, pushing the flag of another country, running for president of our country, and still somehow win. Do you see what I'm saying? But this is what Donald Trump is. Let me remind you.
In how, how their life is conducted or what they're in support of.
I just want to share with you one really funny opinion. But there is in Lapland, there is a group of the shamans there who do something called collective dreaming. They will go together in seclusion and do the rituals with, eating very little food and being in a solitude for a long time. And they will go and dream the dreams. And the dream have to be collective, same dream. So coming out of this dream, once of the shaman told me that actually the best thing happened in this planet right now is the Trump to be the president. I said, how is this possible? It's the best thing to happen. He said, yes, because he's so irrational, he's so crazy. That's actually create that awakening, that we finally wake up. Because before it will be another guy and everything looks similar. But he's so different than anything else. So he's the magician who waking us up. What do you think about that? That kind of theory. I know, it's speechless, I understand. But this is one opinion.
Mm-hmm. So that's a Marina Abramovic telling you exactly who Trump is. And she said this on numerous occasions. And it makes a lot of sense when you look at things. But if you don't know who Marina Abramovic is, she's a good friend to all the wealthiest people on earth. Jay-Z, Beyonce, all the rich people. And here she's making she's writing a spell on a wall in a video she made in 1997 that says, with a sharp knife, cut very deeply into your finger and your left hand and eat the pain. And she's painting this. This paint is poop, blood, urine, period blood, and breast milk. And she's explaining exactly how to carry out a witch's spell, because that's what she is. This makes no sense, but this is mainstream. This is high level. This is what these people are and what they do. And by the time I get to this end of the video, you're going to understand why this all makes sense. These aren't humans. These people might not have sold their souls. These might just be inbreds that go all the way back to the mighty men, the men of old, the people that so many statues were made of over the years. You see what I'm saying? Because in this particular spiritual spell casting incantation, that little thing down on the bottom, that's a golem, and she's trying to animate it. This is real. This is very real, and it hasn't been hidden. It's been on the internet for years. I've shown this video I don't know how many times over the years, but there, as they say, is that. But here's the next step in their plan.
Anonymity on social media. In our countries, no one can walk the streets with a mask on their face or drive a car without a license plate. No one can send packages without showing an ID or buy a hunting weapon without giving their name. And yet, we are allowing people to roam freely on social networks without linking their profiles to a real identity. That is why I believe we must push forward the principle of pseudonymity as the functioning element of social media, and force all these platforms to link every user account to an European digital identity wallet.
So this is the trick that they're playing, and that will make its way right over here to the United States. We're going to be the last in line for everything. And for those, I've said this in many videos, this is the new world order. It's not the new American order. So there's no leaving America to escape this at all. They've already got you guys under control. They already do whatever they want in all the other countries for the most part. But here's a funny thing. One of his sales pitches was, we don't let people walk around the streets with masks on. Are you sure? Because remember in 2020, all the way to 22, people wearing 1, 2, 3 masks at all times, no matter what, and it was no big deal. There was no uptick in crime. There was no nothing. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just amazing how they go after the injured, the elderly, and the children. And I mean that literally. They do it in all ways. But anything bad they want to do, they say it about them. These guys want to run the entire world, but they can't run a country. They can't run a state. They can't run a police station. They can't run anything, but they want to run the entire world. And they want to make everything digitally. Well, let me tell you a secret. You can't hack a $10 bill, but you can hack digital all day, every day, at all times. So that on its face right there should stop this entire thing in its tracks, but it's not. It's not. It's like they've got a deadline and they've got to meet it. Well, they do, and it's 2030. And it's already begun. It started in 2025 like we've never seen. It's amazing. So let me get on with this. I want to talk about chemtrails, okay? Because some information just came to light, and it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and it turns out it might actually be real. Chemtrails haven't stopped. Chemtrails have, this is recent. Chemtrails are cranking out like there's no tomorrow. No pun intended, if there is a pun there. But these guys are spraying this for several different reasons. It blocks out the sun, which we need sun to live. Everything on Earth needs sun to live, and they're blocking out the sun effectively. And Bill Gates suddenly decided he's not going to spray the sky anymore, so Elon Musk is picking up the mantle. But the sky must be sprayed nonetheless. But the thing is they're spraying barium, strontium, and aluminum. We know this for a fact because people have been testing it, and it comes back conclusively every single solitary time, even from the most remote, pristine places on Earth where aluminum, barium, or strontium should never be. And yet they are. They're there.
Making a condensation trail is very similar in many ways to when you go outside on a cold day and exhale. You create a condensation trail. That little cloud is a condensation trail. Now, if you take a 2-mile walk on a cold day and you can turn around and you can see your condensation trail tracking all the way back for 2 miles, That's how crazy it is to think that what we're looking in the sky is actually condensation trails.
The contrails, not the chemical, the contrails occur because of cold air, minus 30. It takes a high altitude, around 30,000 feet plus. There's carbon dioxide and water vapor in that exhaust. That turns to ice crystals, and that's what you see, the white stream behind it. Those white crystals of ice warm up, dissolve, and the smoke goes away. And it never lasts more than a minute. What we're seeing now, and I first could not believe it, and I started looking at the skies, and these are not normal. They're not natural. There's something going on. I don't know who it is or why they're doing it. All I can testify is it's not natural and it's not normal. It's got to be some outside influence doing that. Thank you.
I'm here to give you testimony that chemtrails, they're not contrails, are indeed real. They're spraying almost every day. I watch the clouds and watch the spraying program going on. I want to tell you that we're in very great danger from the pollution that's coming down over us. And we've been led astray by the military-industrial complex, and they're responsible for the cloud's creation and weather manipulation programs. They're dark operations. That's why they're not out in the media.
I look around and I see people are starting to look up and see this. Many times I've spoken about chemtrails, and I get this blank look on my face. What are you talking about? I'm saying, look up. As a pilot, before I fly, I look up. And so, boy, they're really out there working.
When you look up at the sun and you see a white haze, that is aluminum floating in the air right now, and it's coming from the aircraft.
There's a huge amount of aluminum being found because these sprays have aluminum, strontium, barium, manganese. And there's a lot of argument that aluminum is very common to be found, but aluminum is only common in a bonded form. It's not common in a free form, and we're finding high rates of free aluminum in the soil, which is not natural.
The metal compounds that are being used are environmentally dangerous. We need to be monitoring them. We need to be testing them.
Okay, these previous guys, I've watched exactly what they do, and yes, they are correct. I've seen exactly the same stuff, so ditto marks on those. You want some figures? Okay, latest water test, tested the rain. 13,100 micrograms per liter of aluminum in the rain in 2013. Normally, it should be 0.
I started my channel because I noticed chemtrails, and I simply started posting videos like this asking people if they were seeing what I was seeing. I grew up next to an airport. I was very familiar with airplanes, and I was also familiar with the sky. And I couldn't understand why people were allowing this to happen and they weren't noticing it whatsoever at all. And more than that, I was also wondering why all the testing was showing barium, strontium, and aluminum. Well, when you go to the periodic table of elements, you can see that B, A, and Al equal Baal. And that's a statue representation and a tablet of Baal himself, something these people have worshipped for a long, long time. But one of the biggest questions people always give me is, if they're spraying us with poison, how is it not affecting them? Well, one of my subscribers answered that, and here it is. Now, this is the topic that I've stayed away from, and for years, conspiracy theorists, as soon as you mention anything, they'll talk about reptilians and people living on the dark side of the moon and things of that nature. But here's the funny part, is the more you look into history, the more you discover that it's been carved in stone. Japan goes all the way back, and China goes all the way back to dragons and reptilians, and these people carve this in stones in such intricate manners that we can't replicate them today. You know what I'm saying? If way back in the old days they had the time and energy to literally carve something in stone, it was important.
Did you know Japan's royal family claims they descend from an ancient reptilian race for educational entertainment purposes only? Here's the proof. Japan's oldest texts openly record a bloodline linked to non-human reptilian beings. Japan's imperial line, the oldest monarchy on Earth, traces its ancestry to Toyota Mahaim, daughter of Ryujin, the Dragon King who lived in a vast undersea palace. The Kojoki, a text containing Japan's imperial imperial family's official divine genealogy, and the Nihon Shoki, a text including heavenly descent of the imperial ancestors, describe him as a shape-shifting reptilian being who could appear human when needed. And the imperial family even has relics today that theorists claim were given to the royal family from this reptilian race. The mirror, said to be an ancient device used to communicate with deities, which could be similar to the obsidian scrying mirror that John Dee used to contact angelic beings. The sword, taken by the storm deity Susanoo, who defeated the 8-headed serpent Orochi, who was guarding it. Some say the sword is actually a plasma blade that uses ether technology, just like the sword of He-Man. And the Magatama, a jewel shaped like a reptilian eye, found in prehistoric Jamon and Yayoi archaeological sites that was, you guessed it, biology that turned into hardened geology. So it's actually the petrified eye of a dragon. For centuries, Japanese folklore has described an entire spectrum of reptilian beings, including the kappa, seen in Edo period scrolls, similar to water nymphs in Greek mythology. But here's where it gets stranger. Thousands of years before these myths were even written, the Jomon people made the Dogu figurines, wide-eyed, armored, reptilian shapes that look nothing like humans and appear across Japan for millennia. But Japan isn't alone. The Sumerian Apkallu, the African Dogons Nomu, the Hindu Nagas, ancient Chinese Dragon Kings, and Mesoamerica's Quetzalcoatl. Different continents, different cultures, same exact pattern. So what if these weren't myths? What if an ancient reptilian civilization survived or resurfaced after a global cataclysm and restarted humanity by interbreeding with them? Japan has the oldest reptilian artifacts and a current living reptilian bloodline. This makes Japan ground zero for understanding when these beings existed. If the same beings shaped Japan, Sumer, Africa, India, China, and the Americas, then humanity may be living on the ruins of a forgotten reptilian age that at one time, as all of these cultures claim, reptilian beings interbred with humans and gave birth to a divine royal bloodline just like Japan. Sound familiar?
Now, I know that's a lot to take in, but let me tell you something. Look around right now. How often does the government or authority figures simply and totally and 100% lie to your face about everything? Seriously. History is a lie agreed upon by the victors. Now, mythology, the more you spend time, energy, and effort looking into it, you'll discover that they've all been carved in stone. It takes a long time to carve something like this, but carve them they did on every continent throughout history, and apparently we've been lied to, and what they consider gods are gods, but they're lowercase g gods. They're mentioned quite extensively in the Bible, the book of Enoch, and the book of Jasher. These things were very, very real, and a long time ago I said I believed they were spraying the atmosphere to terraform it for entities that were unlike us, that didn't thrive on beautiful sunlight from a nice yellow sun, blue skies, trees, plants, things like that. I always thought that they were terraforming the place, but I never could quite put my finger on it until one of my subscribers went to AI. I didn't ask them to, but they did. And this is the answer that they got about reptiles. It's a very strange thing. Barium, strontium, aluminum. Think about it. One of my subscribers sent this, and he said, can reptiles handle metallic elements and compounds better than mammals? Yes. Studies suggest that some reptiles, particularly certain lizard species, can tolerate extraordinary high levels of metallic elements like lead that would be lethal to mammals and birds. Reptiles are highly effective at bioaccumulating heavy metals from their environment, often to a greater extent than the mammals or birds, but they do not necessarily experience the same acute toxic effects. Isn't that queer? Because I've been saying that without knowing that for a fact for many, many years, and here we are. And the funny thing is they're not only poisoning the air that you have no choice but to breathe because it's the only air that we have, but they successfully poisoned all the water. They've added fluoride, which is literally byproduct of aluminum, of machining aluminum etc. But it's not natural. And they decided to pour it in our water and tell people that it was good for your teeth. And for years, people considered that a ridiculous conspiracy theory. Yeah, guess what? It isn't. And they also poison the food. They poison the food so much so that other countries find a great deal of enjoyment making fun of our food. Like this, for instance.
God, Caucasian food is uncomparable to what Americans eat. When I was in America, I ate some shit my stomach couldn't even fathom. I was in the bathroom cooking out for hours. This mutated CIA-injected spyware food did not do me good. You know what? You can call Khachapuri a cheese boat, man. I don't care. As long as you get to enjoy some good food instead of crumble cookies and Popeyes. There are so many weird chemicals used in daily food, such as bread, cake, meat in America that are just banned in other countries. Here, man, we have khachapuri, khinkali, tolma, swadi. Europeans have some good food too, like schnitzel is amazing. All Italian foods are goated, Greek food is goated, but Italians were not counted as Caucasians when they first moved to America.
It's sad that other countries completely know what's going on in the United States. The ridiculous ideologies, the furries, the LGBTQ never-ending alphabet spiral that we were in. The fact that we have the dumbest people out of all the other countries, that's not by... We have the highest college debt, but we have the dumbest people. We have the highest medication of people and the unhealthiest population. It's all by design. And people seem to... I don't know. They just don't want to deal with the truth. They'd rather get home and watch television, watching people grocery shopping, like literally watching shows about grocery shopping or cooking or remodeling your house or things of that effect. Things you're never actually going to do. It's crazy. Meanwhile, they're spraying the skies right over us. And there's another reason for spraying the skies. I know the reptilian one was a stretch. I never wanted to get into it ever, but I had to point it out. Because history doesn't lie, our government does.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years.
But spraying the sky, I've explained this a long time ago, what spraying the sky was going to be very helpful for. Comet 3I Atlas. Believe it or not, we've never been to the moon, which is why we never go to the moon. We're never going to Mars because we can't go to Mars. They're spraying the sky because they're going to do a thing called Project Bluebeam. And they've been telling us about it in movies and television shows for years. And it's a very, very real project. So let's go back to a video I made about 8 years ago where I laid all this out and showed all the patents behind it so you can understand why it is they're using barium, strontium, and aluminum specifically. So I did this video in 2017 and I was talking about terraforming the sky. Few years before 2017, I had Anthony Patch on and we did a talk show type thing back and forth. And we were discussing terraforming the sky. The only issue is that Anthony thought the earth was the same shape that NASA said, and I thought the earth was the same shape that the Bible said. But what you're looking at is an actual old hologram that they did at a baseball field. Now look at this. This is 100% real. This is prior to AI. This hologram cast a shadow. It showed up on television. It showed up on the Jumbotron. Everybody in the field could see it. This was completely real. If you didn't know that this was a hologram, you would have thought it was real because it was actually doing what appeared to be damage. You could hear its wings flapping, the whole 9 yards. And that's when I decided to really start looking into this because I'm thinking, if they can do this back then, imagine the technology that they're not showing us. Well, think about that all now. Think about the technology that they have now. But what I wanted to know is, if you were to try to do a hologram in the sky, if you wanted to use the sky as a movie screen, what elements would you have to spray into it? And I found my answers. Here's scientific paper at pubmed.gov. Photorefractive holographic recording in strontium, barium, niobate fibers. We describe what our knowledge to the blah, 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 blah. A plane wave reference and image carrying optic beam are incident upon the fiber. Long story short, this goes back to 1988. Strontium, barium, holographic recording. Get out of here, will you? Here's another one. OSA. multiplex holography in strontium barium niobate with applied field. Do you see what I'm saying? 1992, Optical Society of America. These people have been working on this for decades. This one goes back to, I think, 1997. So it's 1988, 1992, and 1997. Superior real-time holographic storage properties in doped potassium, sodium, strontium, barium, niobate crystals. So you take this, and this, and this, and this, and then things like this at a baseball game for entertainment. You see what I'm saying? So there you go. Like I said, I always bring the receipts, and I did back in 2017. And again, if they were using this in 2017, imagine what they had that people didn't know about. Well, that was 9 years ago, right? 9 years ago? 8 years ago, whatever. It was a while ago. And we didn't realize just how openly, blatantly, and completely corrupt our government was. And our government isn't even a government anymore. It's run by Blackstone, Palantir, all the other big corporate companies that we don't even know about. And they're getting ready to do something because they want to put us all on a digital ID in a digital credit, social credit system, period. And like I've said before, and I'll say it again, people like you and I, we're not going to be involved in their reindeer games. We're already out. And people need to start thinking accordingly. Do you see what I'm saying? Because if they could do this in front of an entire baseball field and make it look real, because that's all real. That's not CGI. This is an old video that I pulled up on one of my archives. This is completely legit. Imagine when they do it at night. You've got a bunch of YouTubers that are chasing around lights in the sky. You know what the easiest thing for them to do? Lights in the sky. You can't identify it, period, so forth and so on. Wait till they start pulling out entities that have been living in deep underground military bases for years. Wait till they start pulling out the weapons and the holograms at the same time, where you can't understand what's real and what's not. Because some will be holograms and some will be technology we've never seen before actually doing damage to the earth and people, I'm assuming. They've spent the last 50 years breaking up churches. You got to get churches out, because when people are in churches, there's brotherhood, there's community. They've gone through neighborhoods and destroyed neighbors. People don't even know their neighbors anymore. They've done everything that they possibly can, and now they're coming to put you on a digital ID, a digital dollar, and a social credit system. And they're going to know every single solitary thing about everything you do at all times. I'll tell you what, I ain't living in a world like that, and you shouldn't either. And if you take that digital ID, that is the mark of the beast. At any rate, Richie from Boston. And I'm out.